right next door.
Yeah, maybe the door.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Up the hill. Sean and Chip, go ahead.
I'm just here to request the second mill for the weed and pest. It's something we do every year. You guys are always gracious enough to award it to us every year. We mainly use the second mill for mosquito abatement. We have a pretty big mosquito program as far as ground fogging, aerial flying. We do water sighting and adult sighting. It pretty much takes up the one employee the entire summer to run that program, plus seasonal employees helping. Do you have any questions?
I'm actually aware of your mosquito program, and I live along the river, and I've seen it where the mosquito abatement has not been effectively used, and it becomes almost unbearable.
Right.
And so you guys do a fantastic job, and I want to compliment you on your good work, because it makes a marked difference, it makes it so you can at least live without having to scream on your head all the time.
Well, thank you. It's not a job that there's no very much reward out of, because you could never kill every mosquito. But we try. If only. We try. I'm here because we're in a transitioning period with the weed and pest. We're hiring a new supervisor and a new mosquito manager, so to speak. So you get me today. I'm the only one. And Chip, you get Chip too.
Well, I'm a board member, but I'm here because she's been filling in as supervisor and doing a really pretty good job of that. We've got somebody coming on, so in a couple of weeks they'll be up and running. So should be no changes to the mosquito program. Still gonna fly once. Still gonna do all of our normal water sighting stuff, hopefully. But that second mill really makes a difference. So.
With all this moisture, you might have
Oh, man.
mosquitoes.
It's a little worrisome.
It's the perfect time right now, because they're not flying right now,
Yeah.
but they will be around, so they'll be out and about.
Sure, so,
Well, I move that we honor the request for the second mill for the Hot Springs County Weed and Pest Board.
second. So a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? Understanding that this isn't to make, the second mill is something that's, is pretty much already collected. It's not that this is an additional tax that goes out to everybody. It's one of those mills that's already on the books, that is just, requested for additional things, so.
I believe we've received the second mill for about how many years, Becky?
As long as I can even remember when I was auditing, that was 17 years at least,
Yeah.
Whoa,
if not longer than that.
as long as you can remember.
Auditing, I said auditing. Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's, nothing new.
Great. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sorry, I was late.
No.
No,
Thank you.
sorry for your trouble today. Great, so now we'll have the next item of business number 10, follow up to the TAP grant discussion. Just as a little background, probably most people are through this a little bit more than I was. I was not at the last meeting, but at the last meeting there was some discussion and some action taken by the county commission to put in a letter of intent to apply for a planning TAP grants for Hot Springs County in regards to the old airport program. Before that action was taken to put in our letter of intent, we have been the sponsor of a TAP grant. TAP stands for Transportation Alternatives. It's a grant administered through YDOT, state money for transportation alternatives. It started out as safe roads to rural schools idea to make sure that there's paths for kids to walk and get to school. That morphed into lots of greenway projects and sidewalk projects and all kinds of things. And now, of course, with all the outdoor activities, there's a lot of hiking trails and all kinds of things that are for construction side of TAP grant. Bighorn Basin Nature and Discovery Center has been engaged and is currently running a planning grant, to plan some of their transportation opportunities in the Rio location, is where the Bighorn Basin Discovery Center is. And Hot Springs County, as a member of that Joint Powers Board, has been the sponsor of that grant. There's a few things with the grant process that need to happen one after the other. The first one is anybody applying for a grant needs to put in a letter of intent. And at the last commission meeting, without me here, our commission directed Connie to put in a letter of intent for Hot Springs County's project at the old airport. That brought questions up, as we are currently the sponsor of the Bighorn Basin Joint Powers Board. If we can continue to sponsor that, we've reached out to Mr. Hurt, who is one of the main directors of this, and Sarah, who is the local programs coordinator at White Hot, about the opportunity for Hot Springs County to sponsor both grants, and they kind of shied away from that idea. They thought it would probably be best for both opportunities. Both grants would have better opportunity with separate sponsors. The Bighorn Basin Joint Powers Board is a joint powers board comprised of county officials and city officials. So the idea was floated at the last meeting to transition the sponsorship of the Joint Powers Board grant to be sponsored by the city instead of the county, so that the county could sponsor the grant that would actually be happening on county property. There were members of the city. The mayor was at the last meeting, and he was going to try to approach the idea to the council to see if they had interest in sponsoring the Basin Authority, the Joint Powers Board grant through the city. That didn't happen at their last meeting. It is on their agenda tonight to see if their council is interested in sponsoring that grant. The reason for the discussion here today is there's some more members of the Joint Powers Board here present, and I appreciate their input. And so we want to make sure, I, for one, like I said, wasn't at the last meeting, but I have a strong feeling that Hot Springs County started down the road with the TAP grant with the Joint Powers Board a long time ago. And I don't want there to be any feelings that we are shoving that group to the side to get our own TAP grant in the line of things. Now, we would only be going for a planning grant as well. There's a possibility when we first talked about this that if one was a construction grant and one was a planning grant, that there could be the same sponsor. But now maybe that information's changed according to the White Hot discussion. So, if the city comes tonight at their council meeting and agrees to accept sponsorship of the Joint Powers Board grant, then I think things will continue, because they are, I believe, Todd, you can speak to this, you guys are ready, you're finishing up with your planning grant, and we'll be going for construction grant in this next TAP grant cycle, is that correct?
We have to submit a letter of intent by April 15th to get into this grant cycle.
Do you have, so part of this whole process that we understand, maybe the public doesn't, is that you have to have an individual that's been through the training that helps administer the sponsoring agency's grant. So for our organization, that's been Shane Rankin. Shane has been through that LTAP training, and so he is the LPA, I guess is what they call that. We have Connie scheduled to go to the LPA training that will happen for the 15th, the 12th. And I understand that Jim, the assistant to the mayor at the city side, is also going to attend that, so that he would be the LPA and LPA if the city was to accept sponsorship. That's all I know. Did I get that all right?
I think so.
So Paul, you were at the last meeting and you guys did move forward and instruct Connie to put in our sponsorship letter. Do you have anything
Yeah,
else to add?
and it's clearly my understanding that it was not going to jeopardize the Joint Powers Board TAP grant anyway. One is the planning grant, and the other's, I guess, a construction grant. But we had, the White House representatives on the phone, and that was what they had expressed. And so, we definitely, at least I can speak personally, do not intend in any way to abandon or jeopardize, you guys' work, in what you're doing. And so, it's my understanding this, it's just a matter of representation. So if the city was to be able to sponsor the TAP grant, your TAP grant, and we were to move forward with the county grant, it wouldn't be any competition necessarily for the resources. And being the aspect of the two different natures of the type of grants, one being a planning grant, one being a construction grant. So that was, my understanding of our last meeting, and so we decided to move forward. But again, I guess it would require the city to be able to approve being the sponsor for the Joint Powers Board grant. Now, if they decide not to do that, then we better backtrack, I guess.
Brad, you had something to add?
I'm on that board. I thought our meeting was supposed to be today, so I went back and watched your guys' meeting from last, so I'm glad I can actually be able to do that. And then I also watched the town meeting, and they did decide to sponsor us, so we do have the sponsorship from the town. I wanted to come to this meeting today, because I wasn't able to come to the last meeting. So we are in the construction phase. We have two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. So, talking to the people that we have to talk to for like the sidewalks to be handicap accessible. I know Phil, you're kind of familiar with the culvert that runs under the highway, that the trail that comes from the state park goes over to T Hill, currently runs under that. So talking to them, we cannot build a sidewalk to a dead end portion. Like, they just won't approve a dead end sidewalk to go, sidewalk to nowhere. Essentially, even though it changes and you can keep going, you can't in a wheelchair or anything like that. So I come to ask you guys, when you're doing your planning, if we can have you guys kind of go onto the other side of that culvert with your guys' sidewalks and stuff and build out from that. So then we are able to, in our phase 2 plan, tack on to and go up to that culvert. Once the snow kind of clears up, I'm gonna go over there and try to figure out a way, because they needed a way for the drainage and the mud from that culvert that can't affect going through it. So that's kind of what I was here for today, was just ask, since you guys are going through with that planning grant, if you can kind of consider that, maybe pushing a sidewalk out of there and making a parking lot or something on the other side. I think there already is one, but it's dirt. You can't have dirt, it has to go to some type of hard surface, so either concrete or asphalt, and have, I think, 2 or 3 handicap parking. That would help us out with our phase 2 portion when we start putting in all the sidewalks.
So
And then-
going forward then, Brad, with our planning grant, could be a direct benefit to the phase 2 portion of your grant.
Correct.
If we include that in our
If you
planning grant.
included that portion in your guys' planning, I don't necessarily think that you're gonna get approved building sidewalks up T Hill. I mean, maybe, because I already was kind of talking about the height, like kind of how high you'd be able to push a wheelchair up a hill and stuff. But if you guys did a parking lot on that other side with a sidewalk that went up to that parking lot, at least they would be able to go from the state park all the way to that parking lot on the other side, or vice versa. They could park there and be able to take the trail, go through our portion up into the state park area. So that would help us out too, because we were on the phone for like an hour, it seemed like, or more, just talking about that one portion of sidewalk that it goes nowhere, and they won't let us build that portion. It's just kind of a dead end.
That sounds like a good plan to me, I don't know if we could sure help facilitate that.
Oh, okay. So, that's kind of where we're at with that.
Great.
So,
For clarification, the town has not approved the letter of intent, they are doing that tonight. So if they choose not to do it tonight, then we do not have a sponsor for our grant.
Yeah.
So to echo Commissioner Galovich's points, if for some reason the town does not move to be the sponsor of the grant, now that doesn't mean that it costs the town any money. For example, we have experience doing this. To be the sponsor of the TAP grant for you good folks, it hasn't cost us a dime. You have provided the match money that requires, and you have been very helpful in filling out the document reporting, the RFRs. We approved an RFR today for the TAP grant. Becky understands that process. It doesn't cost the county any money to be that sponsor. It wouldn't cost the city any money to be that sponsor. And actually the people that are administering the TAP grant here have volunteered to go help the city catch on to the program. It would be a very simple thing for them to do, but they are unfamiliar with it. So with that all being said, if for some reason the city does not move to help you get your letter of intent put in and be the sponsor, I don't think, I personally as county commissioner, and I think echoing Paul's, we would not abandon you folks that have been doing that good work over there and put our grant ahead of your construction grant.
No.
So I think, without any formal action up to that point, the commissioners at the last meeting directed Connie to put in our letter of intent. That, to my knowledge, hasn't been submitted yet. So after tonight, if the city does not agree to be the sponsor, please get your letter of intent to us so that Shane can sign that as the representative, and we will continue to sponsor the Bighorn Basin Joint Powers Nature Discovery Center. TAP grant. The COLA, the Children's Outdoor Learning Area, is a portion of that. We have no intention of pushing you out to start with our planning, so. Do you agree with that?
100%.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you.
You guys are a priority in the grant process as far as staff is concerned. So.
Thank you, we appreciate that. I think the town will probably approve us, but just as when we came to the county without, the full match in place, we are also going to the town without the full match in place. But as you've said, we've come up with the funds each month needed to cover it, and we've got a good start on this grant, match. We're about halfway to having it in the bank, so hopefully they will understand that this is a slow 2-year process and we have that amount of time to completely fund it on our part.
Great.
Okay, thank you. That was a big relief.
Yeah.
We also have some flyers about our project for people, the public here.
May we hand these out?
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's interesting that you spoke, if you don't mind me talking while I do this,
Go ahead.
you spoke about, with Barb, I'll catch you on that, about the need for a vocational school, which, as you know from our plan, that's a key part of our end goal, is to put in what we call a folk life school, but in a sense is a vocational school that will teach our folk arts, such as welding, pottery, weaving. Quilts are a big business right now, you can actually make a living off of that. My husband's a taxidermist, he makes a living off of it. So there are so many skills in Wyoming that we can teach adults and youth that will, fill the gap that Barb was talking about.
Sure.
That's great.
Well, very good. I appreciate you guys attending. And rest assured that hopefully our questions are answered, and hopefully the city sees the value in being, I think part of this discussion is there's been a whole bunch of growth between the relationship of the city and the county recently. Hopefully that will continue to grow, as in this instance, if the county can't be the sponsor, the city can, and they see that we can grow and work together to make Thermopolis a great place to live, work, and play.
So,
Becky?
would they please let us know what the decision is?
Yes.
With the city, so that we can go forward
Go,
with
go.
helping them, yes,
You want me to just contact Becky?
That's fine.
that's fine, thanks, Tom.
You might, well, I guess Jim would have to be the LPA, the guy that would sign the grant, and their training is before the grant is due. But if you haven't already prepared your letter of intent, you might get busy on that, so that the instant Jim gets back with his degree, he can sign that and you can get it turned in.
He does not have to be
No.
certified before the letter of intent goes in.
Cool.
And I did talk to, Mayor Estenson, and he did confirm, I thought he said it was gonna be the 19th, the date's irrelevant, but, he will get the training, so we'll be fine even if it's after the 15th.
Great.
Hey, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. So then the next item of business is number 11, Megan and maybe Travis, or just maybe Megan, maybe just Travis. That, you guys come forward and talk to us about your filming stories.
Thank you all for meeting with us this morning. We are requesting to use the old airport runway for a wedding ceremony on September 24th. So that is a Sunday. Don't have firm plans yet, but we would have chairs brought in, to have decorations set up probably mid-morning, have the ceremony late afternoon, and then have everything cleaned up and out of the way. So ideally just wanting to use that space, and kind of show off the Knott's beautiful landscape, on our special day. So, we would just need parking up there. I don't think we need anything else. That's all I have.
So,
24th?
September 24th.
September 24th.
so we have allowed this use in the past with a few tiny little things. Hopefully somebody did some research and found, usually some kind of insurance.
I have the paperwork that says the insurance requirement, which we would be happy to provide. And then I did not hear if there was a fee for usage of that.
At
So-
least a couple $100,000.
I don't do it.
Come on, the Edward Jones guy and the doctor. Just kidding.
There's some debt there, yeah.
So Commissioner Ryan, we believe that, the last one that came up was kind of just when I was starting, but we have them put down a $500 cleaning deposit.
Okay.
And then I believe we refunded that cleaning deposit, but I also know that the, individuals at, using it when we did some weed remediation and some stuff, so you might want to be keeping an eye on what it looks like up there, but I believe that's, and so I think as long as you guys are good with that and the insurance provision up there. That's what we required.
Yeah, we would be happy to do a $500 deposit.
Great.
Excellent.
So, I guess I'll entertain a motion to approve the airport for use request for 1 day, provided the insurance, documentation, including a $500 refundable cleaning deposits, for the date specified, September 24th.
I second that.
I have a motion and second, is there any discussion? Yes, we have the insurance proof right here, but we don't have the cleaning deposit, so we'll get that.
Yeah, and insurance has not been set up yet, but it just said by the date of the event, so we will have that well in September.
So maybe we could make the motion, contingent on the insurance document of cleaning deposit receipt. So with changing those two stipulations, are there any further discussion?
I second those changes, by the way, yeah.
Great.
So I think, sounds like fun.
Yeah, sounds like fun, congratulations Megan. No, congratulations Travis, I'm sorry Megan.
I get a lot of that.
Yeah. Right back. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They can keep it.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great. That concludes our agenda, short of paying the bills. Unless there's any correspondence you care to bring up and talk about, Paul? That's good. So then we will sign bills and adjourn.
Thanks, Jerry. Make sure I got that fee amount right, it's $100,000?